Yeah. Someone got gun on that dirt.
Yo, if I were podcasting, it would be insane. Knowledge blowing like the sweetest rain. Professor Bear on the mic, spreading wisdom wide. The best thoughts, that's my pride, can't hide.
With the voices in your ear, changing the game.
If I rule podcasting, every thought we'd ignite. In a world of chatter, with a spark in the fight. With Professor Bear, we're climbing to new heights. A best thoughts podcast, shining bright in the night. Topics from the heart, never sounding the same. Got laughs and debates, never dull or bland. From culture to tech, take you by the hand. Join the ride with us, feel the vibe expand. With every episode, we shine that beginnings on the cusp. Not too old to adjust. Old dog, new tricks. Remember, I was just a pup. Something dirty in my cup. Clean soul.
Tune in, don't miss what we got to share. If I rule podcasting, I spread the love everywhere.
Welcome, and thank you for joining me today. I am Professor Bear, and this is a Bear's Thought. Guys, girls, it is a great thing to be a fan of wrestling because you get to enjoy such amazing things. And for me, I get to talk to so many amazing people that are in the wrestling business. Today, my guest, he is, I hate using this phrase. I was going to say a superstar, but I don't like saying superstar. He is a great independent wrestler that is doing this thing around the U.S. Now, currently he is out with some injuries, but we're going to let him tell his story. Today, my guest is Snake Williams Jr.
Hello, it's your old pal, Snake Williams Jr. here. And how you doing, Professor?
Man, I am doing great. I got you on. I get to talk to another great person that keeps the sport that we both love alive and thriving. So, to get started, one of the things I always like to ask my guests is, how did you become a fan of wrestling?
Oh man, I've been watching wrestling for as long as I can remember. I'm watching it on Saturday nights with my dad, and Sunday watching Memphis wrestling, and I go way back. I'm kind of getting up there in age, so I remember a lot of the old school stuff.
Hey, I'm up in age and I'm proud of it. And man, I get to think about all those great moments as a kid where I used to love. For me, it was the NWA era in the 80s, right when it just really exploded with the Horsemen and Dusty, Nikita, and all the great tag teams like the Rock and Roll Express, the Road Warriors, the Midnight Express.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. I watched all of them, and I also grew up watching Bill Dundee, Jerry the King Lawler, Jeff Jarrett, Wolfie D, JC Ice, all of those people too. Brian Christopher.
Oh yeah. To me, you were nothing until you at least wrestled the King at least one time, because. I love the fact that the King He really was the king of Memphis. I don't care. Flair come in there, he couldn't get a pop like Lawler. Hogan could come in there, he wouldn't get a pop like Lawler. He was truly the king of Memphis.
Oh, legend says that he couldn't even get a speeding ticket if he was in Memphis.
I definitely will understand it. Who in the world would want to be known as the police officer that gave Jerry the King Lawler a ticket?
I don't know.
So, with that, when how did you start getting into the wrestling business yourself?
Well, when I was in high school, actually just got out of high school. Me and some buddies and some cousins, we would go down to Mechanic Street in Jeffersonville, Indiana, and OVW was down there at the time, and Danny Davis was the owner, and he ran it, and he rented his ring out. So we would all pitch in money, and we'd go down there and rent the ring out for about an hour or two, and we'd get in the ring and act like idiots. Uh, I had Man, I had been wrestling with friends since I was in seventh grade. Like we would literally build a ring at the park down the street from where we lived with mattresses and poles and ropes, and we would wrestle in the middle of the park all the time. So I mean, I watched it and studied it and kind of watched how they did things. So when we would get in the ring and we would play around, I would be taking bumps and running the ropes and stuff. And I guess Danny would watch us because, well, one, I guess because of, make sure nobody got hurt and that he had to be out there with us while we was in the ring. And I don't know, one day he come up to me and he just asked me out of the blue, he was just like, man, you ever thought about getting in the wrestling business? And I was like, no, not really. I hadn't really thought about doing that. And he was like, well, why don't you, well, he asked me if I was single, and I was like, no, at the time I had a fiance. He's like, bring your fiance down here. Let's have a meeting. We'll talk about it, blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, I'm signing a contract with him to train there and start wrestling there. And that's pretty much how I got started.
You know, we were talking about how we knew went back with certain wrestlers and stuff. Every time I see Danny Davis, immediately the nightmares come to my mind. Him and Ken Wayne. And that was one of the first tag teams that I seen explode, and that blood feud just really made me think, oh my God, these guys, all that love, and they really hate each other. And every time since then, anytime I see Danny, it's like Nightmare Danny Davis. Nightmare Danny Davis. And sometimes I'll be like, man, it'd be so cool if you come out and put the makeup on and just come out. But
I mean, I believe he's done that a couple times in the past at OVW.
so when you started, how long did you train before you had your first match?
2 months.
Wow.
2 months, and then I was in a battle royal on a beginner show, and not because Danny needed me or needed extra bodies. I aggravated the shit out of him to get in the ring. And he finally's like, all right, kid. He's like, if you want to get in there, you get in there. But then after I got in there and did that, he started putting me in matches and stuff. And the next show that I did was I call it my first match because the very first match I was in was a battle royal that I got thrown out of. My very first singles match was against a kid named Brandon Wilson, and me and him, man, we went over this match for weeks because we were both beginners and we wanted everything to be so. And I mean, even Danny has said when we had our match and the show was over with, he told us that our match was one of the best ones on the whole card that night, and he even had some of the guys from the main roster, you know, at OVW on the show that it helped out. So it was like it was a big compliment to us, and I just kept grinding and grinding there, and eventually something happened, and I had to take a break from OVW for a while, and I started wrestling on the independents and stuff, and then, but man, I ended up coming back home though.
So, with Danny telling y'all how well y'all did in the first match and stuff, how did it hit you personally, um, to hear that and knowing you had some of your peers actually look at your match and let you know how well y'all did for a first time match?
Oh, I was proud of it. I was very proud of it. I was proud of that match, and I only did one other. I did three what they called amateur shows. I did one other amateur show in a tag match, and then after that, I was on TV.
Wow.
I moved up to the TV. I was enhancement on TV.
So, and again, because as much as I love wrestling and know so much about it, I've never personally been in the ring or anything. How was the feeling of knowing that you were doing so well that you got advanced up to the main roster, the TV taping?
I mean, it felt good. And there was actually a few people in the class that it started around the time I started or after that were really good, like Smooth Johnny Spade and uh, Damaja, who ended up going on to be Danny Basham in WWF. And, they were all in the same class. I mean, actually, they came in like a month after I was there.
Oh, okay.
So I got to work with Damaja actually quite a bit because at the time I was before Damaja got there, I was Danny's top student in the class. So he would put me with the new guys and have me basically show them the ropes of the stuff, which Damaja had already been training with Rip Rogers anyways up in Seymour before he even got to OVW. So he already knew pretty much what to do. So me and him worked a lot together in the ring in classes when he first came, and then we all kind of just went up to TV together. So
You mentioned Rip Rogers. I think Rip is one of those legends that people don't know and don't give him the credit for the things he's done in the wrestling business. Um, I remember when he used to wrestle in Continental Championship Wrestling, and he had a he had a special thing about him. As much as I hated him as a character, he could control the fans like few people could do. And one of the main feuds that he had that stands out to me is him and oh goodness, now I want to blank on his name. The adorable Adrian Street. Just
mm.
they were magic together. It's like they just had that chemistry where they didn't have to talk about stuff. I just believe they went and was able to go without putting anything together.
Man, the thing about Rip that people don't understand is Rip is a genius when it comes to wrestling. I'm telling you, he is an absolute genius. Danny Davis may have brought me in and started my training, but Rip finished my training. And I mean, he was just, I mean, you've seen what he's put through. You've seen the legends that he's made. I mean, they all came from Rip Rogers, you
Yeah,
know?
it is an amazing thing. So you go off into the Indies for a little while. How was that? Was it difficult considering that you had been so much into Ohio Valley? Was it a different change for you?
Honestly, because I had came from Ohio Valley, I got a lot of looks. I mean, the first company that I contacted, I had to leave a message. Back then, they had the hotlines, the wrestling hotlines,
Oh
and
yeah.
I had to call the hotline and listen to the bullshit on the hot. I'm sorry if I'm not allowed to
Oh
cuss.
no, no, you're fine. You're fine.
Listen to all the bullshit on the hotline and then leave a message at the end. And I just told them, I was trained at OVW and this, that, and the other, and that I was, wasn't with them anymore. And I was looking, and within an hour, I was getting a call. Hey, can you bring your gear tonight? And come out to Hodgenville, Kentucky for this show. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. So I go out there, and he was like, on the phone, he was like, I'll probably just use you for security tonight. He was like, but I want to bring you out and get a look at you. And I was like, okay, that's cool. I get there to the place, and he's sitting there, and who was it? It was Joe Bailey, Corporal Robinson, and Ox Harley were all sitting in chairs. And I walked in, and I knew Corporal Robinson, but only because I went to high school with him.
Oh, okay.
So, but I didn't know any of them. Man, I was in my own little world in OVW. I didn't know about who all was on the indies and what they was doing and all this. We just did our thing and our TV show and our fair shows. I didn't even realize there was a wrestling world outside of OVW, to be honest with you, when I was there.
Right.
It was just strictly OVW. And so they was like, well, get in the ring with Corporal Robinson. And I mean, I don't know if you know who Corporal is, but he's a pretty big legend on the wrestling scene, especially in the death match stuff. And he's been in JCW. He was in Juggalo Wrestling back when it first started.
Right.
Stuff like that. He's been around. He might not have made it to the Fed or WCW, but he made his mark. And got in the ring, tried out with him. He went over and talked to Joe, and the next thing I know, they're putting a mask on me, and I'm in the main event tagging with Corporal Robinson and Ox Harley in a six-man Texas Tornado death match. Fans bring the weapons, and I'm like, what the hell? And I'm not going by my wrestling name that I was going by. They're calling me the Unknown Soldier. They have me because they're having a feud with IWA, and they have me come out and do this move that one of the IWA wrestlers that had canceled on Ian Rotten that night would do to make them think that he had came to their show to work for them, but he was under. It was crazy, but I had fun, and I went back, and they kept, and I got a push there, and it was the first time I'd ever gotten a push. It wasn't just out there to make the bigger stars look good. I was a big fish in a smaller pond, and I had the training of OVW behind me, which made me reputable.
So, so I was wondering because nowadays you can find a training center anywhere, and not to knock any training center, but there are some that just, to be quite frank, don't need to be in the business. They give a bad reputation to the business that we love. Um, if you were doing training now with these younger guys and girls, how long do you think is an acceptable time for training someone before you let them step foot in the ring?
It depends on the person, brother, because some people might not get it. And some people might get in there and they might have it right off the bat. And then there's might be some people that might not get it till a little bit later on down the line, a couple months, a year, or whatever. And then it might, and it's it just depends on the person. And as a trainer, I would just have to go by feel. If I felt like somebody was ready, then I would be like, okay, I would maybe have matches with them myself at an independent show or something, just to fill
Right.
them out before I put them in the ring with somebody else.
One one of the things that for me being a wrestling fan, I I look at wrestling a lot different than I think a lot of people do because I look for those signs of, okay, especially if I hear like, okay, the guys in the ring, they may be young. This is their first match, or they're only been in the business 6 months or whatever. So I'm looking to see, do they have it? The do they catch on, or a lot of what type of work they're doing basically.
Right.
And when I look, I'm like, oh, okay, oh man, he messed it up, but he was able to transition and make it work, make it work. And I look at how wrestlers control the crowd and do certain things. Like at one show I was at, the young man, he was young, he hadn't been in the business that long, but the one thing I saw about him, the moves wasn't quite there, but he tried and was able. When he messed up, I could tell he tried to fix it. And another thing was his crowd work. He was a heel, and he worked us so well to the point where I started laughing because I was so drawn into what he was doing as a worker.
Well,
When you
with me, it's not a whole lot about whether or not that you can, or whether the person I train can cover up if they make a mistake or something. To me, it's about I would feel more comfortable letting somebody loose to wrestle once I know that they're safe and that they can be safe with the other wrestler, regardless of. I mean, yeah, absolutely. You need to be trained how to work. I mean, that's the biggest thing is working. You don't have to do 100 moves in the ring, 100 big moves, or to get over with a crowd. I mean, me and my partner, we go out all over on the indies, or we have. I mean, we haven't in a while, but we go all over on the indies, and we worked our stick, and it was Memphis style, tell a story in the middle of a ring style wrestling, where we might have taken maybe 2 to 3 bumps the whole match, and maybe given 2 to 3 bumps the whole match, and had the best matches of the night. And we wasn't coming off the top rope and doing flips and crazy stuff. I mean, every once in a while, if we was taking on some smaller guys or whatever, we'd let them do some stuff to us, that.
right.
But I mean, you got to protect yourself and you got to protect the other person, and you got to be able to do that. And there's certain things that people do today that I wouldn't feel comfortable doing with them because I don't know that I could not only protect them but protect myself.
and and with the young man I was talking about, and where I said he messed up a spot, but he recovered very well, and he protected the other person. That's things I noticed, and a lot of times I would try to not be so. For I guess a better term, be so judgmental. I try to just be into the flow of wrestling. But sometimes when you see someone and it's like, oh wow, okay, oh wow, okay, I see what he's doing. Oh wow, they're working so well together. You could tell where they're working up to that crescendo. They're about to take it home. Oh wow, they fooled me, and they did so well in fooling me and get me so involved. It's like wow, okay, and a lot of times when I go watch wrestling, I try not to be in that mind state because it takes something away from me of the enjoyment.
Brother, it's supposed to be a roller coaster of emotions. That's what wrestling's supposed to be. You're supposed to get them up and get them back down, and then bring them back up and then bring them back down until you get them at a fever pitch, and then you know it's time to go home.
Oh yeah. So where what well what was it like for you when you won your first championship?
Oh, I won that in a battle royal. It was the BBW Heavyweight Championship, and it gotten vacated by the champion for some reason. I don't remember. It was BBW was doing like a crossover with IWA, and something had happened, and the guy that was the champion had ended up quitting for some reason or whatever. So they vacated the title, and they had a battle royal that night, and they told me I was going over, and I went over and won the title. I mean, I had to do a gimmick that I wouldn't normally do, that the owner of the company asked me to do. But I did it and got it over. I mean, and I ended up being actually one of the most hated heels in Kentucky after that. Especially when I started doing that gimmick. So, but it wasn't me, and I didn't buy into the gimmick, and I was young, and so it didn't last very long. And I told him I was done there because I wasn't going to do that anymore, and ended up leaving. And I actually walked away from the business for a few years because I had a child, and I had to do some stuff to take care of my child, and it took me away from the business. I mean, I did little things here and there throughout the years, but it wasn't until I think I left in like uh, 08, 07, somewhere around in there, and I didn't come back until like 12, 13, somewhere around in there.
Do you think with your absence, did it help you grow not just as a wrestler, but as a man and understanding how much you really love the business?
What it helped me do was learn who I was. And not all the way either. I didn't actually, like, I didn't even do the Snake Williams Jr. thing until me and Jeb got together. And the Snake Williams Jr. thing came from me finding out I was a second generation wrestler. And, but nah, I actually grew because I started to learn who I was, and because I had done so many fake gimmicks that wasn't me. It wasn't me. What you see now is who I am every day, all day.
That's good.
I'm a biker. I ride a bike. You know, I've had a bike. My uncle was a biker. I mean, he was in a motorcycle club, so I grew up around it and everything. And that's who I started being. It's just me. You know, I might amp it up to 1,000, but it's me. It's who I am. It's who I am in everyday life. People say I'm an asshole because I speak my mind. I expect people to be honest with me, and I try to be honest with them. And I speak my mind, and I don't hold nothing back. So, yes, I can be an asshole with people, but that's just who I am. I don't mean nothing by it, and I'm not trying to, you know, upset anybody, but that's just who I am. And my friends accept it, and they know. And we get into it, and I piss them off sometimes, but you know what? Then they laugh about it, because they know it's just me being me.
Do you think with finally finding yourself that you became a better wrestler?
Oh, absolutely. I became a better wrestler because I became a better character. Before me and Jeb got together, I didn't talk. I was just the silent, like, I was in some groups. I had held some titles as did the Nate Steele thing, which is, akin to my real name and Rod Steele. It was an homage to him because he was the guy that my first TV match was against Rod Steele, the OVW heavyweight champion, and sadly he passed away years ago. Uh, and so when I came back, I called myself Nate Steele. It's a tribute to him, but I was me. I wasn't him, and I did my own thing. And everybody said I looked like Brock Lesnar. Even I grew my hair out and my beard out, and then Brock Lesnar comes back to WWF, and he looks just like me. Same haircut, same beard. It's like I know he's watching me. He's got to be. He's only a few weeks older than me, anyways. So, but anyways. I mean, I remember I wrestled a show down in Nash. It was somewhere in Tennessee, around Nashville, Memphis area. It was like a few hour drive, and Tommy Rich was the name on the card, and it was at a fair, and we was actually dressing in a semi truck trailer that was
Oh,
sitting in the yard, and so I went out there and I did this match with this tag team, but it was just me against one of them, but the other one was on the outside, so he kept messing with me, and these guys, so we had this match. I ended up going over on the dude, and when I went over on him, his partner slides in, he starts beating me up, they start double teaming me. Tommy Rich comes out, saves me, makes the match for me and him to tag in the main event. Don't know how I got this, but this is what I got when I got there. That's not what I was expecting, but that's what happened.
right.
And from the moment I first came out, my wife was like, "Man, they were calling you Baby Brock," because I kind of look like me and Brock had the same. Like, we honestly do look alike, very alike. I've been told my whole entire life I look like Brock Lesnar, and I'm like, no, he looks like me, even though he is a couple weeks older than me. But they started calling me Baby Brock, and I was doing the MMA gimmick. I had the MMA because right before I had came back to wrestling. I was working as a law enforcement officer, but I was training for my first cage fight. I was actually going to start fighting MMA, but then I ended up going to the police academy, and that killed my MMA stuff because I had to back out of the fight and all that to do the police academy thing and everything. So when I came back to wrestling, I was doing the MMA gimmick because that's what I had done. What I was training as and all that. And so
Right.
that's what I did. And it was me. It's who I was at the time. And so we come out for the main event. And of course, we're in Tennessee. This is Tommy Rich's town. Tommy Rich comes out, the crowd's going, they're cheering and shit. And then here I come out behind him, and they just erupt. And I get in the ring, and Tommy Rich looks at me, and he's like, "You motherfucker, you stole my pop." And I mean, he wasn't being serious, like he was just
Right.
messing with me. But it was funny and it was cool, and it was the only reason I got the pop is because. I guess because they thought I looked like Brock Lesnar, and they just watched me fight these two dudes and win, and I don't know, but that's just the way it went, and it was a pretty cool experience for me.
It's funny that you brought that up too, because um, I was talking to a couple of my people that work with me in WSN, and I was showing them the graphic, and it's like, how the hell did you get Brock Lesnar? I'm
I
like,
swear, bro, I'm not as big as Brock, but I've heard that my entire life.
and
Well, at least as long as Brock's been around. I
right,
mean, Lord knows what would have happened if me and him would have been at OVW at the exact same time, because I wasn't there when Brock was there. But I can only imagine the shit that Jim Cornette would have came up with me and Brock. I couldn't even imagine.
it was, and once they said that, I was like, man, well, damn, he does look like Brock. I'm like, I knew he looked familiar, but I just didn't think. I'm like, damn, he does. That's pretty good.
Well, you didn't know that Brock Lesnar plays a whole different character on the Independence.
Hey, see, hey, and just like I tell people, see, you can be something on the indies. You can work through a lot of stuff, but then you get to the big time, you run with it. And I tell people, believe it or not, some people get tired of being on the big cars. They love going just to do the indies. And I say, I can imagine Brock doing that, just show up at a random show, kick some people's ass, and leave.
Yeah, I mean, my brother, my brother, he was the first one that ever called me Brock, and it was during the time that I wasn't in wrestling anymore. And Brock Lesnar was on WWF, and he was making he was doing some big things and shit. He was becoming champion and all that stuff, and they were giving him a big push. And my brother used to watch wrestling, and he lived in New York, and I was up there visiting him, and he started calling me Brock, baby Brock, and I would be like, man, screw you, because I never did like I wasn't a big fan of Brock Lesnar. I always thought he was an asshole. I know a lot of guys from OVW that knew him that said he was an asshole. And
Right.
so I've never met him, so I had formed an opinion based on other people's opinions of him. I don't know because I've never met him, so I don't know if he is an asshole or not. But that's just what I'd heard. But at the time, I didn't like him, and I was actually offended by it.
So,
Now I'm mad that he stole my gimmick.
well, look at it like this. He's probably going to retire, and you can come back and take your fans back. So there you go.
As the less in shape Brock Lesnar.
So, with everything you have accomplished in wrestling, what is your goal looking forward? Well, I said looking forward. What is your goal to complete your wrestling journey so you could be satisfied?
I really don't know, brother. I'm wanting to get at least another year, maybe 2 years in the ring if I can, God willing. Uh, at least another year. I want to at least end it on my terms. And then after that, I don't know. I might, move into production somewhere, or maybe start training somewhere. I've really I like to be a manager. I've got a really good promo, and I can really speak for those who can't speak for themselves. And I like to take some guys under my wing and show them, the ropes, and try to get them some looks because back in the day I didn't have connections, but now I actually have connections with people that can get people like OVW, for instance. I mean, I can get people looks at OVW, and as you know, if you work at OVW, you're getting looked at by other people.
Oh, yes, definitely. And with managing, I think for me, it's almost a lost art form that we don't have top tier managers like back in the day, and I think we need a resurgence of that because even and I had this discussion. Um, even if you can speak well, you need sometimes you need someone there who can help bring the story, take the story the right way. And managers, the good managers can do that.
Man, they don't have managers anymore. You have valets, good looking women, maybe some good looking men. You might have a bodyguard, somebody that's getting ready to wrestle anyways, but you don't have managers anymore. And it's because nobody that runs companies, and I'm saying this in my experience with the companies that I have been with and I have talked to about being a manager with, believes that managers fit in the equation anymore because they don't believe that it's believable.
Good. And it's funny to me. I think it can be more believable today than back in the days because you have so much going on as a wrestler and so many things. You would need someone to help take care of those things and help you get to where you want to be. Help take care of your card, your the contracts. I think there again. I think that's just a lost art form that I really want to see come back in wrestling. And I want a good. I need a JJ Dillon. I need a Cornette. I need people who are convincing of what they do.
Man, I tell you what, I'm not saying that this will ever happen or whatever. But I've got a couple nephews. One's in the military right now. He's stationed in California, but he's an officer in the military. And then the other one, he lives in North Carolina, and he works there. But they're both very athletic. They both played football. The one that's in California, I believe, had actually gotten a scholarship to play football at a college, and ended up going there. But I think he ended up playing baseball or something else instead. And they're very, very athletic boys, and they have talked to me about training them and possibly getting them in the wrestling business and stuff. And it would be very, very different because my nephews are black, because my half brother is mixed. And so it would be a different look because they would probably come in and do the biker thing with me, and how you don't see that very often,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, you're definitely right.
So it would be something that would be interesting if we can make it work. But I just don't, the one's in the military and he's doing really well, and uh, the other one, he's living around where his dad lives, but he's working and stuff and got a girlfriend and all that. And I just don't. I don't know if maybe the one in California might end up pulling the gun on it, because I think he's got like 2 more years in the military and he's done with that, and he's still young. So he went into the military straight out of high school because he used it to pay for his college, because
Right.
he wanted to be a neurosurgeon,
Oh wow.
and he's got the intelligence for it.
I I look at wrestling today as a lot of it is a resurgence to me, because I I feel like we're getting back to the wrestling, to the oh, I'm trying to think of the word, territorial days. And I personally love it because you can go to California and learn their style of wrestling. Go up to Portland, learn, get your feet wet. I think this is an advantage of the independence, that you get to go around to different areas, learn different styles, and you be you can work anywhere from there. You're not just pigeonholed to one particular style or one type of audience. You get the hands-on you get the hands-on of being able to work different styles, and that I think pays more dividends in today's wrestling more than ever.
Well, you can pretty much thank I think TKO for, because it does feel like there's a resurgence of the territories. It really does feel like that. In fact, me and my partner Jeb, we've talked about that several times, where it feels like the territories are coming back. And you got NWA ran by Billy Corgan, and then you got, obviously you got WWE, but they're not really focusing as much over here as they are overseas on a lot of their stuff. And then you got AEW and TNA and NXT and stuff, but it's starting to feel like the territories are actually coming back, because now you're getting these bigger companies in these smaller areas that are, they might not be WWE, or but like OVW. OVW controls a certain part of the area, their TV area. I don't know exactly what it goes to, but I think some of it's in Ohio. I think some's in Wisconsin and stuff like that. And then you got Appalachian Mountain TV, which is in a certain area that OVW is not in, and so
Right.
but they're still considered competing companies, and even though they don't really compete with each other, but they're still kind of considered, because Appalachian Mountain's considered to be almost as big as OVW, even though they really kind of aren't. But they have that feel to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
They feel more like Memphis.
I
And
think
OVW feels like a WCW from the past, you know. It might not
yeah.
have been as big as WWF, but they still was big in their right, you know.
hmm and I love that because now we're at the point where you can watch anything. We're blessed with having YouTube, streaming services where you can follow a particular wrestler anywhere they go, just just about. Or if you're into a certain style of wrestling, you can
Mhm.
watch it, and you don't have to necessarily be in that area to watch and enjoy it. And I think that gives so much clarity to let people understand wrestling is not just a one flavor thing. It has so many different flavors, different aspect to it that you can enjoy. Like, I always use myself as an example. I'm a big, of course, Southern guy. I'm born and raised in the South, so I love the traditional Southern wrestling. But it doesn't mean that I don't like good hardcore wrestling or the lucha libre. I like a lot of different things, and now we're at the point we can get it without having to go overseas or across the country. We can watch it, follow it, and continue to support it. And I love that.
Man, it's gotten to a point where you ain't even got to be a fan of a company. You can just be a fan of a certain wrestler, and they don't even have to be a big name wrestler. They could just be a regular indie darling, and you can follow them and watch just about everything they do on the internet because and you know I will post my stuff sometimes. I have in the past, especially the OVW TV stuff and pay per view stuff. I've posted those matches and stuff, but I've kind of gotten to a mindset where I don't know if I really agree with posting all my matches anymore. Because if you want people to watch you, but you want them to pay to see you, because you know at the end of the day it's all about us trying to make a living doing this, you know. And if I want people to pay to see me, why would I give away my stuff free on the internet, you know?
Yeah,
Because
that
then they could just be like, well, I'll just wait here a couple of days. I ain't got to go, you know, across the street and pay $10 to see him. I'll just wait 2 or 3 days and his match will be up on the internet.
very much so. Uh, one of the, and again, for me, not being in the business as far as a worker, but I have some people look up and like to hear my advice. I always tell these guys and girls, you're a company among yourself. You
Hmm.
have to go out and learn how to market yourself, how to make people fall in love with you. Make these companies not tell you you sit with them and they're like, we can do this for you. You want that company to say, we want you because you can do this for us. We again, a lot of people don't look at themselves as a commodity. Wrestling would be nothing without the wrestlers. So you have to have
You're a
that
brand.
mindset of you bring a lot to the table. And
You're your own brand.
yes,
And
perfect.
you have to sell your brand.
That's
Because ain't nobody else gonna sell your brand. Only you can do it.
exactly. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Hopefully still here. I don't really know, man. I don't know. 5 years, you know, I'm not gonna throw my age out there, but hopefully I'll still be, you know, in good shape, good health. I mean, I have a gym at my house. I try to work out. Probably not as much since I've you know had some injuries here recently, but I still try to get out there and do some lifting and stuff. And you know, I don't know where I'm gonna be in 5 years. I just hope that I'm still able to do what I'm doing now. Maybe not the wrestling part, but at least you know being able to take care of my family and all that stuff. You know.
Yeah. Man, I want to thank you so very much for not only coming on my show and gracing me and my audience with your presence, but thank you for continuing to do what we love, and that's wrestling. I always feel that I have to give appreciation to you as a wrestler and everyone, because without you, man, I wouldn't be able to have my problems would blow my head up, but I have something else to think about. I get to see, hey, I can't do that drop kick, but you could do that drop kick. Man, I want to hit my boss in the mouth. I can't do that, but I can live through you hitting the boss in the mouth. So thank you so very much for sharing your time, your stories, and man, you have a free invitation to come back anytime and we could talk wrestling.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you and thank you to all the fans, man. Because if it wasn't for you all, we wouldn't have no reason to do this. There's, what we gonna go to empty arenas and perform for each other? I mean, we've done it, but not by choice. There's been days when I went to an arena and there was like 20 people there, and they were all family members of the other wrestlers, and it's like, what are we doing, man? But yeah, man, I get it. But thank you to the fans, because if it wasn't for you guys who paid to come see us, then we wouldn't have that platform to express ourselves, because that's what it is. It's an art. It's an art form, and I appreciate every single one of y'all, and I appreciate you having me on, because you give me a chance to speak my mind. And as far as coming back on, man, anytime, because I've got so many more stories. How I found out I was a second generation wrestler. I mean, I've got all kinds of stories. So anytime you want to have me on, brother, I'm game.
All right. Thank you again. Thank you so very much. Guys, girls, thank you for joining me with another amazing tale of wrestling bravery. Because as big as I am and as flexible as I am, it ain't no way in the hell would I step foot in a wrestling ring. I just couldn't do it. But I've been blessed to be able to talk to so many great wrestlers and referees and valets, managers. It's a great feeling, and I want you to, if you do nothing else as a fan, I want you to support independent wrestling. It is something that is totally different than the big shows, and I honestly believe they appreciate us fans more than we would ever know. They enjoy being able after a show to mingle and talk, and man, instead of putting your money into a product that is way overpriced, use that money for your local indies. They are busting their ass, not just for themselves, but for us, the wrestling fans. So please give and support your local indie promotion. With that being said, we're going to end this show today. I am Professor Burr. This has been a Burr's Thought, and we'll be back again really, really soon. Y'all take care.